Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My neighborhood just got its first snowfall last night, and while there isn't a lot of snow, I still think that it is the perfect excuse to stay inside and curl up with a nice book. I have my hot chocolate here for some good winter vibes, and I figured that this would be a really great time to start a 24-hour like holiday winter readathon. I am going to do the 24 hours over the course of like 3 days. Today is Friday. I think I'm going to make this readathon last all the way through Sunday, just because I don't do super well with reading without breaks. I have a hard time focusing on doing the same thing for that long period of time, so I don't think I could do 24 hours straight, but I'll probably start a stopwatch and just have it running while I'm reading and see if I could hit 24 hours this weekend. Like I said, this is going to be a holiday winter themed reading vlog, so let me show you the TBR that we are working with. So the first book on my holiday TBR is Comfort and Joy by Kristen Hannah. This is a book that was released in the early 2000s, and it follows this divorced woman around Christmas time who decides to impulsively fly to the Pacific Northwest. According to Google, this is a mix of romance, domestic fiction, and psychological fiction. Book number 2 on the holiday TBR is Holiday Ever After by Hannah Grace. This was just released this year. It follows Clara Davenport, who is trying to deal with bad publicity for her family's toy business, and Jack Kelly, an independent toy designer who accuses the Davenport business of stealing his toy design. This is like an enemies to lovers, rivals to lovers Christmas romance. I really liked Hannah Grace's Icebreaker series. I know that's like a controversial opinion. It's a very hate it or love it series, but I really liked the vibes in that series, even if I'm not a huge fan of spice in my books. And so I am interested to see how this one will fare. Then I have Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh. This is the first book in what I think is a duology, where 2 childhood friends who are planning to fly home for Christmas when they get stranded at the airport because of a snowstorm. Then, to add a little bit more variety, I picked up Murder at Holly House by Denzil Meyrick. This was the cafe book at Barnes & Noble for December. This is like just a murder mystery book that takes place in 1952 and follows an inspector trying to investigate a like Christmas murder. This one isn't Christmas surrounding, but it is kind of like wintry, so I figured I could add this to the group. We have Fake Skating by Lynn Painter. This is a childhood friends to lovers story. It follows a hockey player and a figure skater. I don't actually know what she does. She isn't a big fan of hockey. She sees her childhood friend come back after one of them had moved away. I don't know which one, but in meeting them again, he's not the same as he was as a child, and so she doesn't really know how to deal with him. Based off the title, I'm assuming that there's a fake dating trope in here. This just won the Goodreads Choice Awards for Young Adult Fiction, so I am very interested in reading this. I have liked a lot of Lynn Painter's books previously, both in her young adult and adult works. So this is the 5th book on the list. The final book on the TBR I have as an ebook called A Secret Prince for Christmas by Christi Barth. This is about a prince who is hiding from like his royal duties, his family and everything. He shows up at this small town and falls in love with one of the people in the small town. This is like a small town romance, secret identity kind of vibe. Not really sure. I got this as an e-arc off of Book Sirens. So very interested to try that one. The cover just looked really cute. So yeah, those are all the books that I'm working with. I think right now I am most interested in reading A Secret Prince for Christmas. So we're going to start with that. It is currently 12:45. I will start a 24-hour timer, and then if I stop reading for a long time, then I probably will pause the timer. But if it's something like kind of short, like 20 minutes or something, I'll probably just leave it running. But if I do plan to stop for like at least an hour, I'll probably pause the timer and see how long it takes to actually get through this 24-hour timer. So like I said, it's 12:45, and then I will start this 24-hour timer, and we'll begin with A Secret Prince for Christmas. Okay, it's been almost half an hour since I started this reading vlog, and I just had to pause my book because I have the slightest, like, it's such a nitpicky thing, but it bothers me. In this book, they reference the quote, "With great power comes great responsibility," and the author attributed it to Superman. That is not a Superman quote. That is very much a Spider-Man quote. It's from Uncle Ben. And like, it is such a minuscule thing. It is not important at all to the story. I think this is a self-published book, but it does bug me a little bit that this quote was referenced in here, and it was referenced incorrectly, because there was no need to reference the quote or to even reference the specific superhero franchise it came from, but totally like doesn't impact the story at all. Just a very nitpicky thing. Okay, so it is currently 3:18. I have about 21 and a half hours left on my timer. And I just hit 50% of the way through A Secret Prince for Christmas. I'm actually really enjoying this. I was a little concerned in the beginning because there were a few typos and like grammar mistakes throughout the book. I think it could have used another pass through editing, but overall, like looking past that, I'm having a really good time in the book. This book follows Oliver. He is a prince. I think he was like third in line for the throne in a small country. He decides to go to a small town in Virginia for an apprenticeship in a bakery to kind of fulfill his lifelong dream of becoming a baker. This is against his parents' wishes, and so this is kind of like his own personal journey of following his own dreams and doing what he wants for himself before he goes back. In this small town, nobody knows his true identity. He didn't want to share it with anyone because he did it partially for safety and partially so he could just be himself and not be treated as a prince, as royalty. In this small town, he meets this girl, Danny, who is an artist. She grew up in the small town but lives in Richmond, but every year around Thanksgiving, she spends 2 weeks to decorate all of the shop windows on Main Street with like Christmas paintings and Christmas decorations. The two of them meet and they almost instantly kind of like fall in love. Like, it's very insta-lovey. And then of course, in the typical like Christmas Hallmark story fashion, there is a subplot where the two of them are trying to save the town because the big economic resource for the town is shut down. This is a pretty short book. I think I saw that it had like 150 or so pages. So it's very short and it moves incredibly quick. Despite that, I do think that the connection that Danny and Oliver are developing feels more genuine than I would expect. While it initially started as very physical, I think the author did a very good job of quickly developing their emotional relationship. A lot of conversations of them having more intimate talks between the two of them, more bonding moments between the two of them. It's partially still driven by physical, but I do think that the emotional is believable. Around the 50% mark, Dani finds out the prince's true identity, which is causing a very understandable conflict. I think for a short book, both characters have a decent amount of depth. It doesn't feel too surface level. It's nothing special or unique. It's nothing that I haven't seen before. It feels like the typical things that you would see in a Hallmark movie, but their characters and their emotional relationship doesn't feel too surface level. It does feel fairly believable, and I am rooting for them at this point in the book. At 50% mark, there has been one spice scene so far, and normally I don't really like spice in my book. I do think this scene was a bit uncomfortable to read. It wasn't the easiest one to get through. I don't really think I am the person to be able to critique that and kind of tell you why. It felt a little uncomfortable to read. But overall, I am enjoying this book. I am enjoying this story. I have 21 hours left, 21 hours, 15 minutes left on the timer. I think I will keep reading and I will update you guys when I finish this book. Okay, it is 4:30. Timer is at 20 hours and 15 minutes. I just finished the first book, A Secret Prince for Christmas, and I really liked it. I thought it was really cute. I think that the miscommunication was understandable, the conflicts were understandable. I really liked Dani and Oliver's relationship. I loved the side characters, Felix and Sophia. I thought they were hilarious. Everything wrapped up in that obviously too perfect way, but it is like a cheesy Christmas book, so that's to be expected. But yeah, this one pleasantly surprised me. The main critique that I have is that this book just needed another pass through on editing. There were a ton of typos in here, and then in the second half of the book, one of the minor characters' names was wrong. The book started with the bakery being owned by Stan and Marina, and then Dani's parents, Randy and Sherry, worked at the factory. But around the 70% mark or so, anytime the author referenced Marina's husband and the guy that worked at the bakery, she used Randy instead of Stan. I found that a bit confusing at first until I kind of realized where the mix-up happened. I think that this book just needed another pass through editing to fix up some detail issues, to fix some grammar and some typo errors, but overall I thought that the story was really cute. I liked both Oliver and Dani. I thought that their relationship was believable. Everything happened kind of quickly, but this is a short book, so it's to be expected. And yeah, the timer is currently at 20 hours and 10 minutes. I think I'm going to pause the timer right now. I am really hungry. I might end up cooking something, even though it's a little early for that. I might go find some food, do something other than read, and then I will come back and update you with the next book that I pick up. Hey guys, so it's the next morning and I honestly didn't read anything since the last time we spoke last night. I was planning to pick up another book, but I realized that I hadn't done any of the editing for the video that was supposed to go up today, so I spent a few hours doing that and then spent the rest of the night watching Physical Asia with my partner. So haven't touched another book since then. Our timer is still at 20 hours and 9 minutes. It is Saturday today. I don't really have any plans for the day, so we can just pick a new book and knock out a solid chunk of time from this timer. We have 5 books left to choose from, and I think I want to go. I think I'm still in a holiday romance mood. in like one of those Hallmark romance moods. So I'm gonna try Holiday Ever After by Hannah Grace. I think this one is about this like big shot toy company supposedly stealing from an independent toy maker. And this definitely gives the kind of classic Hallmark romance vibes. So we're gonna try this one out and I'll update you with my thoughts when I have any. I'm on page 210 of this book, so a little over halfway. And I just wanted to give you some updates. I really like this. I'm having a good time with this one. I think that Jack and Clara are really cute. It's this stereotypical save the town, small Christmas vibes, where Jack is the town helper, kind of like a Luke Danes vibe in Gilmore Girls. Clara is the big city girl who comes in and like tries to help save the town. I think that Clara is a very easy to root for character. As I mentioned in the first clip, I was a little worried about her coming from like the big corporation, but she very much champions small businesses. She doesn't stand for anything that her company has done to Jack and to this small town, and she's worked really hard to help everyone there. I think that the banter between Jack and Clara is so cute. Like, they're very flirty. It's very fun. Their first meeting and their whole first conversation, I think, did a very good job at establishing that kind of flirty nature between each other before he finds out who she was. While they are a bit lustful, like they do focus on each other's physical attributes a decent amount, there isn't a ton of physical contact between them. And the whole first half of the book spends a lot of time developing their relationship and following Jack learning to trust her and to like her. While the whole premise of it and the whole like forefront of the story is the classic Hallmark Christmas movie story, this does have some undertones of capitalism, of women in the workforce, and just like greedy corporation conversations. I really enjoy this. I am having a really good time with it. And yeah, I'll update you guys once I am done with this. Hey guys. So I just finished Holiday Ever After by Hannah Grace. This was really good. I had such a good time with this book. Like I said the first time around, I really love Clara and Jack. I think both of their characters are just so lovable. Jack is the guy who just helps everybody around town, around his small town. He's the one that's constantly doing everything and just like there for everybody. And Clara is this badass, hardworking girl who just gets overlooked at her dad's toy company. And so watching them together, seeing them work and try to save the town together was just really cute. It was really heartwarming. I think their chemistry was really good. I think that the entire journey that Clara had to win the town over was very believable. The conflict was very believable. It didn't feel overdramatic or unnecessary. Everything played out in a way that felt realistic, but still in this like Hallmark Christmas type of way. I loved the town. I thought that Flo was a really funny character. I thought that Tommy was a really funny character. Like I mentioned earlier, I liked that while this was a holiday romance and while this does follow the typical Christmas movie stories, the author put in little undertones of capitalism and the discrimination that women face in the workforce. In terms of spice, because I know that Hannah Grace's most well-known book is Icebreaker, and that has a reputation for being incredibly spicy, but Holiday Ever After actually doesn't have too much spice. I think there was only 1 or 2 scenes in it. It was a bit descriptive. I ended up skimming through it a little bit, but it's not overwhelming. There wasn't a ton of spice in it. It was mostly just following the story, following these characters, and a lot of their actual genuine connection and emotional relationship development. That being said, I think I'll be giving this 4 out of 5 stars. Right now it is 9:15. I took yet another break to finish Physical Asia with my partner, and then I've also just been kind of scrolling a little bit. So my current timer is sitting at about 14 hours. I think I'll probably take a slight break again and then pick up another book. We have 4 options left: Fake Skating, Holiday Romance, Comfort and Joy, and Murder at Holly House. I think right now I'm a little bit out of the holiday romance mood, just because the last 2 books that I've read have both been that Hallmark kind of story. So I'm torn between reading Murder at Holly House or reading Comfort and Joy, which will probably still be a little bit of a romance book, but maybe more literary fiction. I'll let you guys know once I've kind of picked what I'm gonna do. Hey guys, so it's 5:20 in the morning right now. I didn't read too much last night, but I did start Murder at Holly House. I only read like a chapter or 2 before I started falling asleep, so it's fine. But I have been awake for the last 2 hours, haven't been able to go back to sleep, and I think I'm just at the point where I'm gonna give up and just start my timer again. Right now I have 12 hours and 48 minutes left on the timer. I'm not sure if I'm gonna really pause it too much today. I kept pausing it the last 2 days to just stop and watch, but I think I'm gonna finish out the rest of this timer using like reading sprints so that I don't burn out and can finish. So yeah, let's see how much I can read today. Okay, it's a few hours later and I am about 150 pages into Murder at Holly House. Few thoughts right now. If you don't know what this book is about, it follows this inspector, Frank Grasby, who gets relocated to this small village called Elderby. Once he gets there, there are a couple of murders that happen and he has to kind of investigate it. Frank Grasby is a very incompetent inspector who thinks very, very highly of himself. So it took me a bit of time to kind of get into this book. It takes place in the 1950s in England. The language used in here has a lot of old British slang, a lot of words that I just don't recognize. So I've had to stop a lot and kind of Google definitions. And it just took a minute to get used to that kind of language. 150 pages in, the entire thing has just been set up. Where I left off, it feels like we're finally at the point where we're about to start investigating. We're about to get to the actual meat of the story. Everything else so far has just been set up. It's been introductions to the important characters. I am not a huge mystery reader. It's not a genre that I gravitate to. So I am moving slower in this one than I was in the last 2 books, both because I think the pacing is a little slow, because this just isn't my genre, and just having to get used to the British language. It's currently 10:30. I have about 9 hours left on the timer. I think I'll read for another hour or so and then maybe take a break and then start up again a little bit in the afternoon. I have spent the majority of this morning reading this book using, I think it's called the Pomodoro method. Basically, I've been doing 30-minute reading sprints and then a 10-minute break and then 30-minute reading sprint, 10-minute break. So it definitely helped me get past the slow beginning of this book. I wasn't really sure if I would be able to get past it today, but I think we are starting to get to a point where this is starting to hold my attention, and I'm starting to get through those 30 minutes a little bit faster, a little bit easier. I will update you guys when I have more thoughts. Hey guys, so I just finished Murder at Holly House, and honestly, this just wasn't for me. I don't know if it's a product of the genre or if this is a critique of this book specifically, but I had a hard time reading this because I was just so overwhelmed with the amount of information that we got. I feel like it's kind of understandable because, like, it's a mystery. You don't want the answers to be super obvious. And so I understand the logic of oversharing so much with your readers so that you kind of get them off the trail of what really happened. But at least for me, I felt like the amount of information given was overwhelming. I was very confused half the time. I didn't really know what was going on in this. I think what also bothered me was that all of this information came from dialogue. Everything that Grasby learned was because someone came and found him, someone told him. It was mainly through conversation. It didn't have anything to do with him seeing things, observing things. I can only think of like one scene, one moment, where it was from his own observations as opposed to other people coming and just telling him stuff. I think that reading from Grasby's point of view was just really irritating for me. He was just shown to be incredibly incompetent the entire time, but he was so self-assured. He was so confident in himself and just very cocky, very arrogant. And it was just pissing me off. Like, I wasn't enjoying it at all. I didn't like him. I didn't like really any of the characters. The reveal at the end was unsatisfying, in my opinion. I feel like the clues and the hints towards the reveal were present throughout the book, but I just still don't feel very satisfied with it. I feel like I am still waiting for something to get answered, even though technically everything was wrapped up in this book. Every loose end was addressed in some way, shape, or form. This didn't feel very Christmassy at all. This just took place in the week before Christmas, but it was very easy to forget it. It just felt like a winter book. Holly House wasn't even that big of a plot point, at least in my opinion. It kind of feels like the Die Hard Christmas movie controversy, where it's like it takes place on Christmas Eve, it started at a Christmas party, but did it really have anything to do with Christmas? Is it actually a Christmas movie? I don't know. I think it's the same thing. This takes place around Christmas, but does it really have anything to do with Christmas? Is it really a Christmas book? I don't really think so. It is a bit disappointing that this is the book we're kind of ending on. My timer has 2 hours and 20 minutes left on it, and I'm not really sure if I'm going to finish it out. This book kind of did make me feel a bit burnt out from reading. We'll see if I pick up anything else later tonight. I think I'm going to take a solid few hour break before I pick anything else up if I do. But yeah, I think I'm going to rate this 2.5 stars out of 5. I think this just wasn't for me. I'm not really a mystery person, and so I just didn't really like it. I don't think I've read enough in the mystery genre to be able to say whether this is good or bad for a mystery book. I will let you guys know if I pick anything else up. If not, you'll see a clip of me wrapping this video up in the future. Hey guys, so I ended up not reading another holiday book last night. I ended this holiday readathon with like 2 hours and 20 minutes left on the clock. I was debating on whether or not to pick up a fourth holiday book, but I think I'm just not in the mood to read holiday books anymore. I feel like I need to kind of switch up the genre. So I did read a little bit more last night, but it wasn't holiday themed, so I don't really think I'm going to include that book in this reading vlog. So let's just go through a quick little recap of what I did in this vlog. The first book that I started with was A Secret Prince for Christmas by, I think, Christi Barth. I thought this was a cute, fun little holiday romance. I ended up rating that a 3.25 out of 5. Next, I read Holiday Ever After by Hannah Grace. I really liked this. I thought this was a Hallmark movie with a little bit more depth to it. And I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. And then finally, I ended the vlog with Murder at Holly House. This one I unfortunately didn't like so much. I don't think this is a good book to read if you're looking for a Christmassy book and trying to get into the Christmas spirit. I rated this 2.5 stars out of 5. With that, that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!